Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a poetry explication. And what that means is I am going to go through this poem and I'm going to discuss it line by line, word by word. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock it because it really is a terrible poem. I mean, there's no way, there's no word terrible enough for how pretentious and awful this poem is. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the poem. I'll have a picture of it up and you can read along with me. That way you can form your own opinions of this poem before I get into it. But, I will get into it. So, so what I need to say here is what I am going to be saying is entirely all my opinion. Thank God we have free speech in this country. This poem, everything I'm going to say, opinion based on the poem itself. Based on the words on the page. Okay? So this poem is called Trailblazin. That's one word with the apostrophe taken off the G. We're not really supposed to do that, where we take the apostrophe and switch it with the G. I've been told in several classes that it's become a cliched move to put that on there. And we're not really, we as authors are supposed to kind of avoid it because it's been done so much. Now the thing with this poem, there are no words in the poem that do that apostrophe. There are no verbs that, walking, singing, anything. There are no words that do that apostrophe. So already we have this weird word that doesn't fit the poem. So that's how this starts out. All right. Now this poem can be found on the internet. This is not my poem. Clearly, this is not my poem. This poem can be found at ajblackinc.com. It's a GoDaddy production, but it's a website, and the author is AJ Black. AJ is in his 30s. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but AJ Black wrote this poem, and he posted it on his blog. So there you go. That's the background of it. Now I am going to read this poem for you. Trailblazin. I walk alone, a lone wolf. I don't hunt in a pack, because in the end there can be only one. I can smell them behind me. I am aware of my surroundings. I stay on guard. I dictate the pace. I set the tone, because I walk alone. The world is my house, and its strangers my family. I fit in and stand out. I rock and roll. So that's the poem. It is a free verse poem wherein it hops a little bit. Words hop around on the page a little. Kind of like E. E. Cummings does. But E. E. Cummings had a purpose. I'm pretty sure that AJ did it just because it looks kind of cool. That's, again, I'm totally hypothesizing here, but I don't see a purpose to the hopping particularly, especially because only a few of the lines do it. All right. Now, to take this line by line. The poem begins with an ellipsis, which are those 3 period dots in a row, which make the poem seem hesitant. I like the ellipsis. I use the ellipsis a lot. But I don't think it's useful here, because it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the poem. All right. The first line, the first 3 words, I walk alone, right? Clearly not original at all. Just off the top of my head, I can name 2 places that use that phrase. For example, Green Day. In their album American Idiot, they wrote a song which was called Boulevard of Broken Dreams. That's pretty much the whole theme of that song. Because it repeats I Walk Alone 1,000 times throughout that song. And it works in that song because they're going for a different, unique kind of metaphor. It does not work here because instead of going for anything a little bit different and unique, AJ instead chooses to go with a lone wolf. I've never heard that phrase before. I mean, oh my god, so original, right? Like, I've never seen the movie The Hangover. Yeah, I have no idea that there was a speech given by Zach Galifianakis that talks about being a lone wolf in a one-man wolf pack. My god, people, there's a t-shirt. Okay, if there's a t-shirt, this is something that's pretty well known. There's a t-shirt, there's posters of this movie having this phrase. Okay? Another example that absolutely comes to mind, the movie Mystery Men. And this is what I thought of immediately, the movie Mystery Men. Because there's a scene after Mr. Furious, played by Ben Stiller, he gets angry at the group because they won't do what he wants. And so he gets onto his Harley compatible, and he's trying to start it up, and he's really angry, and he says, I guess tonight the lone wolf hunts alone. Which is stupid to say. Do I have to explain why? If you're a lone wolf, you'd be hunting alone anyway. Now, see, that's why they gave it to these particular characters, the Zach character and the Ben character, because they're saying these things that are clearly stupid, and they're saying it absolutely straight-faced. They're like, this is me putting out my real opinions there. And the writer of the film did that on purpose. Now, the writer of this poem, who did the same thing, who has his speaker give out that same emotion, did it absolutely straight-faced. He's not making fun of the speaker at all. You read this poem, you can tell the speaker is supposed to be someone we're supposed to admire. But he says these things like, I'm a lone wolf, and I walk alone. And then he repeats himself by saying, I don't hunt in a pack. Yes, absolutely. I'm with you on that 1,000%. Lone wolves, by definition, don't hunt in packs. Like, clearly. If you look up the phrase on, like, dictionary.com, lone wolf, wolf outside of a pack. That's how this works. And we know it. So you're repeating yourself unnecessarily in this poem. Okay. Because in the end, there can be only one. I'm sorry, dude. This is a phrase that if you type it into Google, it's gonna bring up a bunch of hits. In the end, there can be only one. The Highlander. Okie dokie. The Highlander can be only one. And they do these, it's a meme, okay? They'll have pictures, and they'll be like, in the end there can be only one, and that's a running gag. It's a joke, because it's a phrase that has been used so many times. And this poem, again, takes it absolutely straight-faced. Alright, now, I can smell them behind me. What does this have to do with the rest of the poem? Absolutely comes out of nowhere, out of left field, to coin a phrase. And okay, wolves are pretty, they have good sense of smell. Okay, if we're looking at it literally, that's fine. But this sentence has no connection to anything else. It's just, I can smell them behind me. Who is them? Who is them? Are they the other wolves? there's no explanation to who them is. It just comes out of nowhere as, as another sentence saying, I'm aware of my surroundings because you can smell whoever the hell is behind you. I don't know who that is. The poem doesn't know who that is. You never explain. There you go. That's a mistake. You can't be vague in poetry because you've only got so much room. You've only got so much room to pack as much meaning into every word as you possibly can. You used the word them. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake on the part of this poem. Now, the I'm aware of my surroundings line, that almost works with the whole I'm a wolf out in the wilderness by myself kind of thing, because he would need to. And I absolutely agree that it fits the poem. This particular line fits the poem the best out of the rest of the whole poem. It's not particularly artful. It doesn't really have any poetry in it, because it's just said so point blank. But at least it connects back to the poem.